This video is looking at how to plan your essay when you're working with the text Strictly Ballroom. That's the entire essay if you wish to read over it. And here we are rewriting the question as a statement that's specific to the text that you are working with. Remember that you're probably not actually going to do this in the exam. I think it's really good practice to do when you are writing practice essays, but probably not necessary to do in the actual exam. Unless you're feeling lost, then it's worth taking the time to do it because it gives you a good base to move forward from, and it really clarifies your thinking. So this is the first half of the question. Describe your impression of a character or individual of the in the text. And I've reworded that into a statement. Strictly Ballroom introduces Fran as a shy person. That's our very first impression of her. You could, instead of saying a shy person, you could say it's like uncoordinated or unconfident or uncool even. Social outcast. That's up to you, but I'm saying that she's introduced as a shy person. Second half of the question, remember, that asks us to explain how understanding develops or changes throughout the text. So I've reworded that as a statement. As she befriends Scott, she gains confidence and becomes more sure of herself. So I've taken the question which asks us how she changes or develops, and I've reworded that into a statement specifically about Fran. She gains confidence and becomes more sure of herself. If that looks confusing to you, I've changed it so that we've got, there's the question, and then here's my statement. Strictly Ballroom introduces Fran as a shy person. As she befriends Scott, she gains confidence and becomes more sure of herself. So that's making sure that I'm very, very clear about what my essay is going to be about. And if I keep this in mind, then my essay is going to stay focused and it's going to stick to the question. Okay, the next part of writing the plan is actually thinking, well, what are our points going to be? Now, we've actually done this together as a class, and we've actually come up, remember, with extra points so that everybody's essay can be different. So you take that statement that we've written there in blue and becomes more sure of herself, and then you can see we add that phrase, this is highlighted when. And that helps you focus on moments in the film when we are introduced to her, when we see her change, and then when we see what she becomes at the very end. So my colour coding, you can see point 1 and 2. You could choose which one of those you use for your first paragraph. So those 2 points are when we are very first introduced to her. Points 3 through to 7, you could choose one of those to be your second paragraph. So each of those show how she's beginning to change, and you would just choose one of those and that would be your second paragraph. The last one there, number 8, everyone would be doing that one because that's the final reveal of how much Fran has changed, that final dance that they do together when she's in that beautiful costume. So this is where we break it down into not just the points that we have for paragraphs 1, 2 and 3, but the actual examples. And the stuff that's in the box there, that's what I strongly recommend you actually do when you are in the exam. So yes, you may not reword it into statements like I have, but you really need to write down the 3 points that you're going to make and the 3 examples that go along with it, so that you don't get halfway through your essay and actually realise that you don't have enough evidence in your memory. You can't actually remember, well, what does that costume look like, or what is that actual quote that she says. So we've got our 3 points that I've chosen for myself. Fran approaches Scott and asks if they can dance together. Scott and Fran dance on the roof. Scott and Fran do their final dance. So that's my paragraphs 1, 2 and 3. Our first impression, here she's changing and developing, and then finally we see what the real Fran is like. So for my first paragraph, I'm going to use the dialogue when Fran stutters and says, I like, and that shows how unconfident she is. My second paragraph, I would talk about montage, when they're up on the roof and we see over a period of different nights, over a few weeks, how Fran changes. And then my last example would be costume. At the very end, she's wearing this bold and sexy dress that is a traditional paso doble dress from Spain, and that shows how confident she is and how much she's changed over the course of the film. So if you do that, then you're going to ensure that you've got 3 different techniques. You can really make sure that you haven't put dialogue twice, or you haven't put costume twice, and you're not lacking a range of techniques to show your understanding. So that's how I would really like you to lay out your plan when you're actually in your exam and before you even start writing your essay. Lay that plan down so then you don't have to think about it anymore. It's down on paper and you don't have to remember it in your head.